It was a busy Saturday afternoon at the small city cafe, sunlight streaming through the windows and casting golden patterns on the wooden floor. I had been sitting at my usual corner table, lost in my notebook, when she appeared. A woman with an air of quiet mystery, her hair falling in soft waves over her shoulders, eyes hidden slightly behind oversized sunglasses. She walked with a calm grace that seemed out of place among the bustling crowd. I watched as she ordered a coffee, her voice soft but certain, every movement deliberate. There was something about her, a presence that made everything else fade into the background. And then, almost as if sensing my stare, she looked up. For a brief moment our eyes met. Time seemed to slow. Her gaze was unreadable, intriguing, and in that instant I felt an inexplicable pull. She took her coffee and moved to a table across the room. But before I could muster the courage to approach, she slipped out of the cafe, disappearing into the crowd as if she had never been there at all. I sat frozen, heart racing. Who was she? Why did she feel so familiar yet so elusive? I knew one thing for certain. I had to see her again. A week later, I found myself wandering through an art gallery downtown, unsure why I had chosen to come. And there she was again. The same mysterious woman standing in front of a painting, her fingers lightly brushing the frame, lost in thought. This time she noticed me immediately. A subtle smile tugged at the corners of her lips, but she said nothing. Instead, she moved to another painting and then suddenly glanced over her shoulder, giving me a fleeting, enigmatic look before disappearing around a corner. Curiosity gnawed at me. I followed, careful not to seem intrusive, but she led me on a quiet chase through the gallery's halls, leaving hints of her presence like breadcrumbs. I caught glimpses of her notes, her sketches, fragments of a world I wanted desperately to understand. Each interaction brought a mix of frustration and excitement, the slow burn of fascination building with every subtle gesture, every shadowed smile. I realized I was falling even though I barely knew her. It wasn't until a rainy evening that our paths truly converged. I spotted her stranded on a narrow street, coat-drenched, struggling with a broken umbrella. Without thinking, I ran to her side. "Need some help?" I asked. She looked at me, startled, then nodded. Together we ran to the nearest cafe, shaking off rain and sharing small smiles. There was an unspoken tension between us, a mix of curiosity and something deeper. Over the next few hours, fragments of her life began to emerge. She was a writer, keeping a delicate balance between her private world and public presence. But she was hiding something, a secret I couldn't yet grasp. And yet, in the vulnerability of that rainy night, trust started to bloom. Weeks passed, and each encounter deepened our connection. One quiet evening, we sat together on a park bench under a canopy of lights. She finally let her guard down, sharing stories of her past, the reasons she kept people at arm's length, and the fears she carried. "I've always been cautious," she confessed softly, "but there's something about you that makes me want to take a risk." I reached for her hand, fingers brushing hers gently. "I've been captivated by you from the start. You don't have to hide anymore." Her eyes softened, and for the first time she allowed herself to smile fully, warm, open, and real. That night, trust and affection intertwined, and the slow burn of our romance finally ignited. Months later, the mystery had not entirely vanished, but the connection between us was undeniable. On a quiet morning, I found her waiting at our favorite cafe, the sunlight painting her hair in golden tones. "Good morning," I said. Smiling, "Good morning," she replied, eyes sparkling with warmth and a hint of mischief. We sat together, sharing coffee and laughter, the past uncertainties melting away. She leaned toward me, her hand brushing mine, and whispered, "I'm glad I let you in." And in that moment, I realized the truth. She had walked into my life not just as a mystery to solve, but as the person who stole my heart completely. It was a weekend getaway that changed everything. She invited me to a small coastal town, claiming she needed a change of scenery for her writing. I eagerly agreed, not knowing that this trip would reveal more about her mysterious past. We explored winding streets and quiet beaches, our laughter echoing over the sound of the waves. Yet there was always a hint of tension, a secret she hadn't shared. When night fell, we found ourselves by a cliff overlooking the ocean, the sky ablaze with stars. "I've always loved the ocean," she admitted softly. "It's the one place where I can disappear and still feel safe." I reached for her hand, sensing her hesitation. You don't have to disappear anymore. Not from me. Her gaze met mine, vulnerability and trust shining through for the first time. That night, the slow-burning bond between us ignited into a deeper connection. During a morning walk along the town's quiet streets, she finally shared the truth. A past relationship had left scars, and she had always kept people at arm's length to protect herself. But my persistence, patience, and genuine care had cracked the walls she had built. I was afraid, she confessed, eyes glistening. Afraid that someone would get too close and then leave. I took both her hands in mine. I'm not going anywhere. I want to be here no matter what. Her lips curved into a soft, genuine smile, and for the first time she seemed completely at ease. The mysterious aura that had once surrounded her softened, replaced by warmth and openness. On the final evening of our trip, we returned to the cliff where the stars shone brightest. The gentle sound of waves accompanied our quiet conversation. She looked at me, her eyes reflecting the moonlight. I never thought I could feel this way, she said softly. But being with you, it feels like home. I cupped her face gently. You are home. You've always been. We leaned in, sharing a kiss that held months of curiosity, tension, and growing affection. The world around us seemed to vanish, leaving only the two of us in that perfect moment. Back in the city, life had returned to its rhythm, but our bond had deepened beyond anything either of us had anticipated. We spent mornings in the cafe where we first met, afternoons exploring hidden streets, and evenings sharing stories under the city lights. The mysterious woman who had once captivated me from afar was now my closest companion, my confidant, and the love of my life. Every glance, every touch, every shared smile reminded me of the journey we had taken, from curiosity to trust, from mystery to love. And in that city filled with endless possibilities, I knew one thing for certain. She had walked into my life not just as a mystery to solve, but as the person who would forever hold my heart.
Like, share, and subscribe.